Hi, welcome to my channel. I am Divine Empress, and the reminder that I have for us right now is that everyone has a story. I'm remembering at this moment particularly the villains and the stories that we hear or that we watch. Like for example, in Thor: Love and Thunder, it started off like there's a scene of the villain guy basically before he started doing all those things, he was someone of some sort of faith, and he was asking whatever he believed in to help rescue his daughter, who was basically dying. And regardless of how much he pleaded, there was no help, and even got to meet this so-called divine being that I think that's how he went, but I could be remembering something wrong here. But from what I remember, he got to meet these one of these divine beings that he used to respect, just to find out that basically they're not who he thought. That person wasn't who he thought. Like, so he lost respect and hope with that, and then so he decided basically to take matters to his own hand, to try to bring his daughter back. And that started his whole villain thing of now going out and doing bad things because he believed in something that wasn't what he thought and couldn't save him the way he thought. And now he lost his most beloved one and he wants his child back. So now he was out there doing things and even affecting other people's children because he, I guess I would, my opinion, I would say here, he felt wronged. And yeah. And also when you think about, I don't know if you watched the movie Joker as well. And I remember watching these things where they had like these drug dealers and just the way the reasons behind what they do. When I see things like when it comes to like people and stuff, when I hear stories, I always wonder why. When I see a child act up, or I see a story, a headline, news report on somebody, I always think why. Because everyone has a story. I don't think anybody just gets up and they just become who they are. Like the men that I was telling you about on the Thor movie. There's things happen that lead to people making certain choices, and sometimes sometimes they have really valid reasons. I'm the type of person that also, like, sometimes I would think like if you raise two people on the exact same conditions, they might still make different choices. They would choose to do different things even if everything is exactly the same. They can grow up to still be two different people because at the end of the day we make choices. We interpret things differently. I don't justify, I'm not trying to justify the wrong. I'm just saying that there are stories and reasons why people act the way they act. And I feel like sometimes we can be quick to judge based on what we see. Okay, sometimes we hear news about like celebrities and they just act, especially those who were like child actors and young stars, and they grow up and you just see them now on the news that they're doing all of these things. You hear all these negative things, but then later we hear the behind stories of how they might have went through a lot of unfortunate things that they really shouldn't have to experience. Anyone should have had to experience at any age, especially as young children. And that those were the things that were going on behind the scenes, and their way to cope was to rely on some things that are not healthy, right? So I feel like these stories are important. The why is important because it helps us understand what we're doing wrong as a society, what we need to work through so that we can help those who are caught up in lifestyles that are not good for them, and also help the next generation, how we can help prevent or at least reduce these things from repeating again in the future. That's why I say everyone has a story and the stories matter. Like if we are able to sit down and talk to people, if like you don't know someone from anywhere and you just see them, they posted something online, and you already, maybe some of us, we already start assuming things about these people just based on like short clips that we've seen online, or something we have heard. But there's a reason why they behave that way. There's a reason why they got to that point. And if we can hear people out, maybe we can understand better. But that doesn't mean that I'm saying that people shouldn't answer and be held accountable for what they do. But it can help us understand better. It can help us understand each other better as people. And like I said, also to help us know what's going on in our societies, and think about how we want to move forward and lead things for the next generation, right? So yeah, with this video, I want to encourage us to not be quick to judge, and to encourage us to have conversations with each other. You know, even people that you see online, or quote unquote like celebrities that are known out there, understand that they're human beings too, like us, and they have a story that we might not know about, or they might not share. So to try to give grace where we can, and at least that's what I would think. Like, rather than judging, try to think that maybe there's a story behind that. When I watch like the Joker movie, he has a story as well, you know. So yeah, I want to encourage us to, like I already said, um, try to listen, try to get to know each other. Let's try to get to know one another. Let's try to not be quick to judge, because there's so much more about people than what we might see, even those around us. We might have known some people for like decades, and we still don't truly know them. I also want to add here, check on your check on your neighbors. Check on your people that are around you. Check on people. Like when you see something going on, something seems off, be like, "Hey, how are you? Is everything okay? How are you doing?" Watch the signs, like the nonverbal signs that people are showing you, and see where you can help. Because sometimes, like, certain behaviors are a cry for help. Certain behaviors are a cry for help. And if we just see it as this person did this, if we focus on the behavior, then we might miss out on the fact, we might miss something. I'm not saying you have to, but it would be nice if we can check on people, and we're able to. Some people make certain decisions based on temporary situations that maybe some of us could have helped them with. There's some people that, they just needed that financial boost. Maybe they're going through something, and they just need like that temporary financial assistance to be able to get somewhere. But because they're so desperate and maybe have responsibilities and stuff, they might choose to take a way that might not be legal, or might not be good for them in general, and do this thing, and now this and that ends up happening. I remember watching the stories of those people like that get caught at the airport. Some of them are like trying to flee something, and let's try our best to be each other's keepers. I feel like some of the issues that we face as a society, it would take more than just holding the people who do something accountable. Of course, always people need to take accountability for their actions, right? We make decisions, and our decisions have choices. Our decisions have consequences. But I feel like at the same time, we need to also work on is all is being each other's keepers. So we can hopefully prevent certain things from happening. Like for example, like when I watch these stories of these people that end up doing illegal things to try to get money or to try to help themselves in situations where they felt helpless and it was they felt the urgency to do something about it. I think of it like, what if they had somebody who supported them? Maybe they wouldn't have made that decision. So I'm making this video. I want to encourage us to check on each other and to try to help each other out as people as much as we can. Because, like, imagine that parent who has a child who's really, really sick and they cannot afford to do anything about it financially. And they're so desperate that they end up doing what they feel like they can at that moment to try to save their child. I think any of us are capable of becoming anything if the circumstances allow. Like, I know some of us would think, oh, we would never um, unalive someone. We would never do X, Y, Z. But I think that all of us are capable of becoming the versions of us that we think that we would never be if it came down to it. Can you imagine you as a parent? Now you're faced with the choice of, saving your child or doing this thing that you feel like you've never do in your life. What would you choose? Unlike when you see in movies, like usually these movies start as something like these people in the beginning of the movie, they usually start very they usually start very nice, normal people living normal life, you know, where they're comfortable with the things that they know. And then as the movie go along and life starts to happen, like things start to happen, they start to change. And they find themselves in situations and doing things that they never thought they would for survival. Sometimes to survive, we end up doing things that we never thought we would do. And sometimes for the people that we love, for the things that we care about, we end up doing things that we never thought we would. And I always think when I see like villains and hear stories and stuff like that, I'm like, what if their circumstances were different? What if that child that was going through something, those traumatizing experiences, had somebody there that spoke up, somebody there that rescued them, somebody else that showed them something different from what they used to, from what they have seen? What if they had somebody that checked on them? I read a comment in a video where somebody said a teacher saved them. They were being abused so badly, but the people that they knew felt like it wasn't their place to say something to that person's parents or do something about it because that's their child. But luckily for her, a teacher at school, luckily for the person, a teacher at school decided to do something about it and intervene. And because of that, it saved the person's life. Because it seemed like the parents were even going as far as trying to unalive that child. That's why I think I'm like, when I see situations and hear things, I'm like, did they have people around them? If we try to be each other's keepers and try to check on each other and try to intervene when it's necessary and do the things to help people, how much more benefit can we bring to ourselves and as a society as a whole? There's so many things that we could prevent, I think, by doing that. Because some people act the way they do as adults because of the things they experience from childhood or in their journey in this life in general. If they only had people who were willing to step in, if they only had that moment, sometimes it's just speaking to someone that can make a whole difference. Just being kind to them, that can make a whole difference. There are some children that they might not have had good guidance, mentors, or the immediate people that are supposed to support them, didn't do what they're supposed to do, but they remember that teacher. They remember that stranger that showed them some sort of kindness, that treated them differently. I feel like for things to get better, for us to progress as people, we have to, we should, we should think of ourselves as one. Because at the end of the day, whatever happens has a way of coming back around. You look at your neighbor and be like, "Oh, that's not my house. That's not me." You look at something happening in another country. You be like, "Oh, that's not me." But everything has a way of coming back around and coming back to us. Like you're seeing something happening in another country and you're thinking it's not gonna affect you, but maybe that country provides something that could affect you. But because of not what they have going on, you will not get what you need in your country because of what's happening over there. And also morally, as people, like there's certain things that just should not be acceptable if we want things to get better. Whatever happens to one, it kind of like happens almost like it's all of us. If we can think that way and try to help each other out, of course, I'm not saying force things. No, I'm not encouraging that. Do not force anything. Some people will reject help. Some people don't want to be helped. They will reject, and that's their right. And that's okay. I just want us to try. If you check on your neighbor, you be kind to people. Sometimes you don't even know. You don't even need to know what's going on. I want to encourage us most importantly is to be kind. To be kind to ourselves and be kind to others. I feel like that can go a long way. Even if we don't think we have done something significant, it could be something significant. Compliment. You could have you if you compliment somebody. Say something nice to them. Maybe that's what they needed to have that boost for the day. Or maybe they've never been complimented before. Maybe there's somebody who grew up where nobody made them feel valued. And I'm not saying this to guilt trip or to make anybody feel like they have to do more than they can handle. No. If you cannot, you might be someone who needs support, or you might be someone who, if you don't want to do it, that's on you as well. It's up to you. All of this is just suggestions, it's choices, just me sharing an opinion here. But nobody's forced and obligated to do anything that I say. But I just wanted to say something in case somebody, might hear this and feel encouraged to do something. Check on your neighbors, check on your family, check on the people you care about, and just try to be nice. Try to be a kind person to yourself and to others. Even if you don't go out there and try to do big things and all of that, just how you are as a person already contributes a lot. It already is impactful to whoever you might encounter or just this world. So, yeah,